All right, I don't plan on sharing this at this moment because I'm gonna be up front right from the jump. I'm pretty buzzed. All right, my hours and my days are different from y'all's, so I'm already buzzed at this point in the day. Okay. That being said, I am finna record this because I like the post you made. I think it's a really thoughtful post. It's something I've actually thought about myself in the past. And so I have a lot of thoughts on it. And I'm not trying to type that shit out. If I want to respond to it, I'm finna do it like this. So I don't have like stats or anything like that to back up this opinion of mine. It's all anecdotal. But for me, because like I said, I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. For me, my best guess is the difference in this excuse me, this hit rate that we see in football with the 4 stars and 5 stars compared to basketball. In my opinion, anecdotally, it's like this. A lot of guys, when you're coming from high school to college, you've been the man your whole life, and now you got to transition to being a role player. And I think that it's different in football than it is in basketball. I think in football, transitioning to being a role player, for the most part, for these high 4 star, 5 star studs, this group we're talking about, for the most part, it's about you're going to get bigger, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get acclimated, to the speed of the game and the size of the players and everything like that. You're still the same guy. You just don't get as many touches. You just don't get as many reps. If you're a wide receiver, the ball isn't getting thrown your way. If you're a D lineman, O lineman, you're not on the field as much. But when you do get on the field and when you do start earning reps, you're still the same guy. You're just building towards becoming who you're finna become. Whereas I think in basketball, a higher percentage of guys who have been the man their whole lives, they've been the best player from their town. They've been the best player on their high school team. They've been a starter on their AAU team. They scored 17 points at the Peach Jam or whatever. There's a lot of these guys who averaged 22 and 12 in high school who don't understand that when you come to a top flight college, you're about to be a role player. And like this might be your ceiling, right? And so what that means is you're going to have to be a guy who grinds, who's willing to, you're waking up at 5:30 a.m. What's your work ethic like on your training, on your academics, on your film watching? How seriously do you take practice? What do you do in your free time? It's going to require you to grind your ass off to be a guy who averages 7 and 5. And that might be who you are for 2 years. So what I'm saying is, hopefully I'm making it clear, is that there's more guys in basketball who are ranked in the top 30, 40, 50, 75, whatever it is, who are not finna be. They're just, for the next 2 years minimum, are not finna be. Like Xavier Worthy as a freshman, first play of the OU game. What is it, 75 yards to the house, right? Like, again, empirically, anecdotally, I see that happening more in football. Like, if you can play, you can play. It's this humongous field. It's playmakers in space. We're going to get you the ball in space. You're going to make it happen. It's like that. No, in basketball, it's this small court. The court's, 35 yards long? Less than that, so picturing it compared to a football field. The players are grown. The players are bigger, faster, stronger. And you being the man in high school, most high school basketball players don't even the great ones, don't even have a concept of what it takes to be on the level, like let's say a top 25 solid or a Sweet 16 solid college basketball player. Because like everybody who's a role player at Texas and Houston and Michigan and North Carolina, whatever it is, they were the man in high school. And it's just, in my opinion, there is no sport in the world where there's a smaller demand and a bigger supply than there is in basketball. Yeah, I'm kind of ranting, and I'm actually going to finna just keep this going because that's what's up. So, for example, I believe there's 450 players in the NBA, right? And let's say like 250 of those jobs at least are locked down. None of those guys are getting replaced, right? Meaning it's tough to get into the NBA. There might be 100 to 150 job openings each year, maybe, if you're lucky, right? And the thing is, the NBA is not the 450 best players in the world. The NBA is probably like the 200 best players in the world, and then the 250 best role players in the world, right? Like, are there guys who are, you know what I'm saying? Like a guy like TJ McConnell, who was a stud at Arizona, has accepted his role as a bench player. But what a stud he is as a bench player. He knows his role. He plays his role, right? What's the real famous one from modern times? Pat Bev played in Chicago. Patrick Beverly averaged 31 in high school. And he's only known as a role player, defensive guy, menace, nuisance, played Euroball. I actually got a homeboy that I hooped with in high school that was teammates with Pat Bev over in Europe somewhere. Monaco? I can't even remember which team it was. But Pat Bev went from averaging 31 a game in high school in Chicago and was a stud, and went to Arkansas and took the long route to become a role player. So to kind of wrap this up, I think that's a little bit more unique to basketball than it is to football. I think in football it translates more cleanly, and it's just about getting bigger, stronger, and more acclimated to the game. And I think in basketball, it's more about the intangible stuff. Which guys are going to be able to transition from I'm the man to I'm a total role player. And yet I'm going to grind as if I'm the man. I'm going to grind, as if I'm the star player. But I'm going to embrace this role with all of myself and take it on every day. Like, one of my favorite teams, Prince Ebay and DeMarcus Holland. They were the goddamn man in high school. And they both ended up being all defense guys at Texas. And Ebay was the defensive player of the year in the Big 12. And it was like that ends up being and those guys those are great examples of guys who have the character, the fortitude, right, the drive, all these intangible things that you need to become the best version of yourself in college, even if it's not what you thought it was going to be. And again, just continuing this sort of stream of consciousness. That's one of the reasons, people can say what they want about Rick Barnes wasting talent, and I could go tit for tat, argue with that all day. But what people can't say is that Rick doesn't get the most out of the lower recruited players. Holland, eBay, Isaiah Taylor, Admiral Schofield, PJ Tucker, Grant Williams, on and on and on. All right. Dalton Connect, obviously, is a more recent example. That's another thing about college basketball is that there's a real talent that coaches have for identifying the lesser rated guys who have these intangibles, who are going to become the best versions of themselves. They can be coached. They can work extremely hard. They have self-accountability. They don't need anyone to look over their shoulder. They are going to do everything necessary to become the best version of themselves. Their ego isn't in it. The idea of themselves isn't in it. The idea of who they're supposed to be is not involved in the process. And so all of this goes back to the original question: why are there so many misses comparatively in college basketball recruiting to football? And again, obviously, like I've said, this is something I've thought about a lot, and these are my thoughts. It's the intangible stuff. In basketball, everybody in the world has talent. I'll tell you one more thing that I think. To me, basketball talent, for a long time I've compared basketball and basketball players to rap music and rap. I think that there are a lot of guys who like spit bars. There are people who can spit bars, right? But they can't make good music. They can't make good songs. Whatever bars and similes and metaphors and shit that they're spitting, whenever they actually get the instrumental track and the production and everything done, I don't want to listen to your song. I don't want to drive around listening to your song. And with basketball, There's an incredible amount of players in the world who are insanely talented, but it's like, I don't want to watch Hot Sauce and Professor dribble in an empty gym. I want to watch the Spurs play the Lakers, right, in the early 2000s. I want to watch Oklahoma City and Denver play each other right now. I want to watch Houston and San Antonio play each other right now. And as a matter of fact, I want to watch Belmont play Stetson, dead ass, because that's real basketball. And so basketball is probably the number one sport where talent truly like only takes you so far. And once you get to the higher levels, D1 basketball included, probably where it really ramps up, it's so much less about your talent and more about your will, your drive, all the things you are made of and capable of, than it is in football and other sports. All the off court intangible things you're gonna do to become the best version of yourself, even if it's not who you thought you were gonna be. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.